Hey YouTube, Meef here. Welcome to episode 49 of our FTB Continuum Quick Tips and Tricks. This episode I kind of wanted to go over some of the satellite stuff. So what that does, it lets you find planets and stuff like that. A few different sensors, but it does require a certain amount of components to get that started. So let's take a look here. So what we're doing is we're taking a look at this data analytica in Better Questing. You're gonna notice there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that we got to come up with. Definitely read the description here. It kind of helps a little bit with what you need to, kind of expect and then plan accordingly. Some of the stuff that we're gonna need immediately. Start with a power input plug and then the satellite builder. The satellite builder isn't all that difficult to come up with. You're just looking at a motor, probably the most expensive part. Titanium plate, really this isn't all that expensive. Get this put together, power plug, and then get this put together like so. And let's take a look at what this does. You're going to notice that there's some components here. This position here is for your sensor. This is going to be solar panels or a battery. And then you've got some input-output. So let's take a look at what else we need here. So this next portion here deals with satellite ID chips, your basic solar panels, data storage, and then the satellite component itself. This stuff is pretty cheap to make. The satellite is probably the most expensive part here. It's going to be some titanium rods, control circuit board, and then aluminum sheets. The satellite ID chips are pretty simple to make. Let's take a look here. The solar panels and the data storage unit. Let's look at the data storage quick. Just an emerald. Stick those in a precision assembler. I made a few of these at once, 5 of them, and that worked out relatively well. Let's take a look at... I went with basic solar panels. You can do the larger versions. I'm not sure what the difference is yet, but the basic, I made 2 of these, and just gave it hell with that. So that is the main components. There are a few other things that we're going to have to put together here, but let's take a look at this first. So like I said, the actual satellite component's going to go here. Your satellite ID is going to go here. In this position here, you can actually create duplicates for that. Like I said, your optical sensor type is going to go here, solar panels and a battery, and then your data storage units are going to go in that position. Let's take a look at what the sensors are. So we've got 3 types. There's an optical sensor composition and then a mass detector. And depending on what you stuff in there, you're going to get some different data back. So the optical sensor will detect distance of planets, composition is what it's made up of, and then mass is the mass of that. Right now, the satellite I've got loaded just is an optical sensor, so you can only put one of these in at a time. We're going to see what that comes up with because I actually haven't launched this yet. So let's take a look at what else we need here. There's a rocket monitoring station. So if you watch my last episode, I ended up going to the moon. I've modified that rocket so that that is actually going to be fired and launched by this rocket monitoring system. Let's take a look at the components for that. This is pretty easy to make. Battery, machine structure, optical sensor, then some copper rods. So pretty simple for that. That's just going to get hooked into a power source and you should be good. I'll show you that in just a minute here. The last part of this section for Better Questing is a satellite terminal, and you've already made data storage units, so hopefully you made some extras. But the satellite terminal is what is going to give you your data back. So let's take a look at what it costs to make this satellite terminal. There that is right there. Not all that complicated to make. Pretty simple. Not too bad at all. Let's take a look at one of these, and I'm pretty sure it is the composition sensor is going to use the one thing that we're going to need from that tier 6. So I've kind of found that that's there. Let's take a look at the optical sensor first. Should have had these before. These are really uncomplicated to make. You're looking at some glass, glowstone, and a gold plate. But let's take a look at the composition sensor again. So this really isn't all that difficult to come up with. The tracking circuit, again, I have Ender. You should be making those already if you're to this point. But let's take a look at, is it the mass sensor? Mass detector. Dilithium crystal. This is the new ore that only comes out of the tier 6 void ore miner. In order to come up with that, you take those ores and grind them straight up in a grinder, get dilithium dust, put it in a crystallizer, and it comes up with this. So that's where that kind of came into play. Now let's go take a look at, I suppose we should finish this up. Once you've got all your components here, so satellite ID chip, you've got your solar panels, your I/O stuff, and then a sensor, you click build. There is a way to write a secondary chip, but we're not going to go through that in this episode. We can kind of talk about that later on. But once you have these components in here, you click build. You'll see this little gear set here is kind of your indicator. It'll build up, and it'll output a satellite with an ID, and then you'll have a chip. So take both of those with you, and we'll go take a look at what the rest of this entails. So I've kind of set these two different stations up here, the rocket monitoring station and then the satellite terminal. So the satellite terminal, I've got a data storage unit stuffed in here already, and the satellite ID chip that was just created, that's where I put this. We can connect. I'm not going to do that just yet. Maybe we should. I guess it doesn't matter. You've got an option here to destroy the satellite. We're not going to do that just yet. But let's see what the rest of this comes up with. You've also got this rocket monitoring station. I put this down. You can see here, this is loaded with fuel. There's no velocity right now, and the altitude, we're at the base. Now, the way I did this, and we're going to have to go up on the roof quickly. You can see this rocket hasn't changed a whole hell of a lot. It's still the same components. I've linked this fueling station with the rocket, but you'll notice there's one change up there. Rather than the seat being up there, I put a satellite bay on it. Let's take a look at what that cost. So here it is, satellite bay. Titanium rods with a machine structure. That's all it is. I put it on top, scanned it. Rocket assembly machine said it was good, so I built it, and we've got our rocket entity here. Now, I should note that before I built it, I stuck that satellite in there, but let's right-click this. Now you can see the satellite bay, you can see the satellites in there. Power generation is 2, and for data storage, it's got 3K. We'll find out a little bit more as I haven't actually launched this yet. Now, like I said, the rocket monitor I linked with the linker. You should have that set already, but I linked that with the rocket, and it said it was successful. So let's see what it comes up with here. I guess if this totally blows up in my face, no big deal, but let's check it out. Okay, so we've got a little bit of mission progress stuff here. I'm assuming that this stuff kind of shows what's up. So once it's launched, this is probably the satellite release area, and then this is its return. But let's take a look here. Let's go ahead and launch this. And see. It's gonna take some time to go here. I guess I don't know. Looks like fuel's loaded. Let's go take another look. Looks like feels good. Mission progress, altitude. And I wonder if... There we go. Looks like there's a countdown sequence, but anyway, this should be doing its thing. And there it goes. kind of cool to watch. Let's go take a look down here since we're not going to be able to see a whole hell of a lot except the burn from the back. And let's take a look at our monitoring station. Okay, so we can actually see the altitude going here. I'm not sure, like I didn't change anything, the launch button. I'm not sure if you actually have to go up there. I don't know. It seems like the countdown sequence is a little bit long. Maybe I was kind of impatient, but so there's no mission progress here. Maybe let's connect this. And it looks like there's some data here. Let's start the chip. And let's go check. Okay. So it looks like it went up, came back down. Let's see if our satellite is still there. And it's gone. So that was effectively launched. Let's go see if we can get some data out of this. So it looks like that was all stored and ready to go. But that's it for that. So there are some different, I'm assuming that once this stuff is actually built, some of the data gets used somewhere else. I didn't get to that point yet. I just really wanted to show that you are able to launch these satellites. You are able to build them, put sensors in them, and then send them back out. So we did have a successful launch here. The satellite was launched, and then we'll kind of take a look at where to go after that in the next episode or two here. We'll take a look at building a space base and then see where it goes from there. So, but anyway, successful launch, satellite's gone, we're getting data back, so we'll figure out how to work with that stuff and then check that out in the next episode. Until next time.